Hello everyone. Today here we will discuss about some of the interview questions which are asked from manual testing part. And from manual testing especially the questions which are based on IT company structure. So there are some questions which are most randomly asked. So question number 1 here is, what are the various departments in an IT company? Okay, first of all, it depends on the what kind of company it is. It's a product based company or a consultancy or whatever it is, but moreover you will get almost all these departments there. Accounts and a finance department is always there. HR department is there. Sales and marketing department is there if it's some business related company. If it's more related to learning, research, something like that, so you will get research and development department. Quality assurance, product development if it's a product based company. Admin department, security and tech support department. So this is a list of various departments which you will get in a normal IT company. Now, question number 2 is, name the departments directly involved in development of a software project. So there are various departments which are involved, and here you can see the very first one is a project manager, a business analyst, a team lead, developer, QA manager, and a tester. All these are involved in a project development. A business analyst will collect all the requirements and prepare the business documents. A project manager will take up the project and will clear out the functional requirements and the system requirements. And then the development team will start developing the product. QA team will test it. So all these members are directly connected to a software project development. What is the role of a business analyst in software development? Okay, so the very first role that the business analyst perform in software development is to gather requirements, is to fix meeting with the clients and with the stakeholders and find out the requirements. Requirements can be gathered by just face-to-face interaction. They can be gathered by analyzing the market. They can be gathered by just looking at the previous history of your projects and everything and gathering information from there. So very first task that a business analyst have to do is to gather requirement and to shortlist what to do, to prepare a business plan, okay, and to prepare a business requirement document, and assisting in defining the project throughout the project development. If there comes any difficulty, any problem, any business related confusion, any requirement related confusion, then that is to be sorted by a business analyst. And he is responsible for documenting technical as well as business requirements, verify that project deliverables meet the requirement, and test solutions to validate objectives. Okay, so all these are activities performed by a business analyst in a software development process. What are the major roles and activities performed by software development department? Okay, see, software development, it's a complete life cycle in itself. It's a very big department in which you are supposed to develop a product, supposed to develop a application. Okay, now this department is responsible for taking out the requirements, for designing, planning, and actually writing the code. Okay, software development is not possible without following the software development life cycle. So there are phases like requirement gathering, then analyzing the requirements, then designing the requirements, then start writing the code, and then test it and then deploy it. Okay, so software testing, you can say it is also a part of software development, because any product is not cannot be delivered or cannot be deployed in the market without testing it. Okay, so software development is incomplete without software testing. So that is also a part here. So every task, all the phases have their individual tasks, and these are the major roles and activities performed by software development department. What is the role of QA department? QA stands for quality assurance. So the role and the very important responsibility that this department plays is to make sure that the product developed is of good quality, is of expected quality. Okay, it's a part of software development. Okay, any product is not delivered, any product cannot be delivered to market until or unless it is tested properly. Okay, only after testing it you make sure that it is acceptable, it's usable, and it's bug free, then only you can deploy it in the market. Okay, so the role of the QA department is to gain confidence in the product, is to gain confidence in the market, and to build your market, and to make sure whatever product you have developed is of good quality. And QA department saves lots of cost and money also. Okay, cost in the sense, if QA department is responsible to find out the bugs and errors in your software development, and if they find out the bugs in the early stage, then you can save a lots of money. Okay, so cost saving as well as time saving also. If you discover any bug later on after deployment or at the end of your project development process, then you need more time to fix that bug. All right, so QA department, it's very important. It will support your complete software development. List out the various functions performed by project manager. All right, let's see here. So project manager develop a project plan. Okay, manage deliverables according to the plan. You have a project plan. Let's say we have to develop IT Learn 360. Now accordingly we will decide in first sprint or in first month what we can deploy, or after 3 months what can be deployed. Okay, and in next iteration, next version, what we are going to update. So all these things are managed by your project manager. That is known as manage deliverables according to the plan. Recruit project staff according to the type of project members are needed. Okay, what kind of skill, what kind of programming language, or what kind of tools and technologies we are going to work on. Based on that, we are going to pick the correct team members. Lead and manage the project team. Determine the methodology used on the project. According to the project requirements, the methodology is decided which will be the most suited one. Establish a project schedule and determine each phase, assigning tasks to project team members and providing regular updates to upper management. All these activities are performed by a project manager. Now, what is a software project stakeholder? Okay, this term stakeholder is very important. It refers to a person or a group or a company that is directly or indirectly somewhere involved in the project. Okay, who can directly or who can indirectly affect your project. You can say, if you are developing any product, so first of all you have to analyze to whom it's going to affect. If it's an e-learning website, then definitely it's going to affect the students, the colleges, the schools. Okay, everybody who is related to the reading, or the who is related to learning department will get affected. Okay, so all these members will be your stakeholder. Now here we have two type of stakeholder. One is internal stakeholder and another one is external stakeholder. So internal stakeholder is like, whenever we develop a project, the project team is definitely affected because the team is working on the project manager and the funder. Okay, now when we talk about external stakeholder, see, internal stakeholder, it's just like a rough idea. You need not to go into much depth. Now, if we talk about the external stakeholder, these are your real stakeholders. These are your customers. Who are your customer? For IT Learn 360, you can say all of the students all over the world are the customer, the government, the colleges, the organizations, the supplier. Okay, supplier or anything related to this, whom your project is going to affect, for whom it can be useful. Okay, so these are your stakeholders. Your project should be able to meet the requirements of your stakeholder. Okay, these are some general questions asked from IT company structure part. Here we will discuss the next module of manual testing, that is SDLC and STLC interview questions. So question number 1 here is, what do you understand by SDLC? So first of all, SDLC stands for Software Development Lifecycle. It defines the task performed at each step in the software development process. That is, it explains your complete software development process step by step. Okay, SDLC, it's a structure followed by development team within the software organization. It consists of detailed plan describing how to develop and maintain specific software. So next question that is asked, is SDLC a part of QA department or entire IT company? I'll say this question is quite tricky. I'll say SDLC stands for Software Development Lifecycle. Okay, if you remember the software development lifecycle, it starts with requirement phase, then analysis, or you can say planning and designing, and then development, then testing, and then deployment. All right. So QA department, it's a part of software development lifecycle. Okay, software testing, and it's the software development. It's a part of a organization. Okay, and QA is needed everywhere. Whenever you are developing something, whenever you're performing any activity, you need to make sure quality of the product is good, quality of whatever work you are doing. So quality assurance is needed everywhere, and yes, it's a part of software development lifecycle. Explain each phases of software development lifecycle. As I told you, starts with requirement analysis or requirement gathering. Okay, and then designing, that is based on your requirements. You will prepare a plan, you'll prepare a design. Okay, then based on those designs, we will start writing the code, that is development of the product. Once development is done, we will go for quality assurance, that is testing, and once done, we can deploy the product. This is simple software development life cycle. Now the next question is how various IT departments are related with each phases of SDLC. Okay, see, there can be a number of departments in an IT company, depending on what type of company it is. Okay, we'll consider only some basic IT departments. That is when we talk about requirement gathering or requirement analysis. Then BA, business analyst, project manager, and your clients and the stakeholders are involved in this phase. When we talk about designing, BA, project manager are needed, and this design can be shown back to your stakeholders and the customers again. Development, here development team is involved and BA is everywhere. BA can see what development is going on and track your project. Quality assurance, here a team of testers is involved, and after that release. Okay, in release directly you will give your product to your customer and the clients. When it comes to quality assurance, here if we are performing user acceptance testing, then here users will be there, that is your customers will be there, your other team members will be there. Okay, for to perform testing, developers can be present to perform unit testing. Okay, and business analysts will be there to keep an eye on that we are giving the right product. Okay, and project manager will be there if there is any bug, any issue that is not resolving on time. So this is how our whole team works for software development lifecycle. What do you understand by STLC? Software testing lifecycle is the testing process which is executed in systematic and planned manner. Okay, whenever we have to perform software testing, we will divide the steps, divide this process into further steps, and these steps will show you the complete process, how it's going on. Okay, so it's a process on which different activities are carried out to improve the quality of the product. Explain various phases of STLC. Okay, here it starts with requirement analysis. Requirements are already gathered in software development phase. Okay, now after that we will analyze those requirements. We will start preparing test plan, then we'll prepare a test design. Then based on the design, we can check what tools do we need actually, and based on that, test environment setup will be prepared. Let's say for automation testing, I'll be working on Selenium, so I'll prepare a Selenium setup. Then after that, I'll start executing my test cases and a test closer. Based on my test report, we can decide when to stop testing. Okay, so these are the various phases of software testing lifecycle. Now the next question is why software testing lifecycle is important. It's very important to make sure your customer is satisfied. If your customer is satisfied, then only you can create a brand name. Okay, market value. It's required to stay in the business. For customers' reliability and their satisfaction in the application, it's needed to ensure the quality of the product, to deliver a high quality product. Okay, testing is very important to check the performance of the application. Now, how software testing lifecycle differs from software development lifecycle. So the difference is that in software development, a business analyst gather the requirement and analyze them from architect perspective, that is from developing perspective. And here in software testing lifecycle, QA analyze requirement and identify the scope of testing. How much testing is needed, what type of testing is needed, how much time it will take. Okay. Development team work on code or it starts developing the code. Rather here, software testing team, they will start writing the test cases based on the requirements. And then once the software is ready, they will test it. Okay. Here unit testing is performed. Here all type of testings are performed in software testing lifecycle. Now, can STLC differ from company to company? Okay, so this is very general question. Uh, Whatever the phases of STLC you have seen, that is more generalized. Okay, now you can change it a little bit. The levels, you can make 5 levels to 4 levels. You can put test plan and test design together. Okay, so just like that you can change the STLC, but more or less the process will be same. First of all, you will analyze the requirement, and based on that you need to prepare a plan and design. You can collaborate these two stages together, and then you need to find out which tool technology you need. So definitely the next phase will be the test environment setup. Once setup is ready, test environment setup and execution, you can say. So it's one phase for you. All right. And after that, test closure or the report, test report submission. So the process is exactly same, only the levels can be changed. You can divide the 5 levels into 6 levels, or you can compress these 5 levels into 4 levels, but the main process will be same overall in every company. To develop or to test something, you need requirements, you need a plan and a design, you need a test environment. Without environment you cannot test anything, and then you will actually perform testing and you will close the testing. Okay, so it's gonna be constant everywhere. Today here our topic is different types of testing. Now, what questions can be asked from this topic we'll discuss here. So the very first question that you can get is, what's the difference between verification and validation testing? Okay, so first of all, let's see the theoretical content. Verification is, it includes checking documents, design, code and program. Just checking. Okay, you are not running it, you will just check it. It's a static process. Verification, it's a static process, and validation, it's a dynamic process. And in validation you will be testing everything by executing the code, and in verification you will not execute the code. You will just walk through, or you will just review the code or the content and everything. It finds, verification finds bugs in early stage of software development. Rather, in validation, the bugs are discovered in later stages. Okay. Let's see for an example. I'll open IT Learn 360 here. Now, if I just go through and check whether all the elements are present or not, okay, I'm just testing. I'm just looking at it, just going through it. It's known as a walkthrough or review, you can say, okay. So this type of testing is known as verification test. I can go through the document of IT Learn, I can go through the code of the IT Learn, or I can just go through the website without hitting anything, without running the all these elements, okay. Now, if I start clicking on the elements, like if I click on all courses, I'll find out Selenium training with Java, and whatever it will display, here's a video. If I'll play this video, and what it will do, the curriculum and everything. What I'm doing now, I'm executing the things. I'm doing validation. Okay, that is known as dynamic process. So that is the difference between verification and validation. Verification, that's a static process in which you just go through the things and you don't run anything. In validation, we run everything and we don't just go through it. It's a dynamic process. Now, next question is, what is functional testing? Functional testing is the one in which we check the functionality. Now, what is functionality? Functionality is the requirement which is directly stated by your customer, by your client. Okay. So functional testing is a type of software testing where the system is tested against the functional requirements. Okay, functions or the functionality known as the feature. Okay, features are tested by giving some input value and by making sure that you are getting the right output or the right behavior of the application. This is known as functional testing. Let's say we are testing login form. Okay, so for login, my customer asked me to prepare a login form. So it's a functionality. That is functional testing. I'm testing the behavior of functional behavior of login form. So I'll give some username and I'll give some password and click on login and I'll check what is the behavior. That is known as functional testing. Now system testing. System testing is the testing of complete and fully integrated software product. That is when your product is finally ready and you're testing it as a whole, that is known as system testing, which we perform right now. We are testing the whole application, so it will be known as system testing. Smoke testing, okay? It is also known as build verification testing. It is used to check whether the software under test is ready or stable for further testing. Okay, so it's the first level of testing that you will perform to make sure, okay, your product is now ready, it can be tested deeply. Prior to start smoke testing, few test cases need to be created, ones to use for smoke testing. Okay, these test cases are executed prior to start actual testing to check critical functionalities of the program are working fine. In this smoke testing, we first of all check the critical functionalities. Let's say we need to develop an e-learning website. So we have to make sure that website is up 24/7. So we'll check home pages there, to check login pages there, courses it's showing and logos there. Some basic and very important functionalities if you are testing, just basic functionalities which are very critical and which cannot be avoided. Okay, so that is known as smoke testing. Now, when smoke testing is performed, then we can go into the depth and we can check each and every point or each and every corner of our application. Okay, so that is further testing. Now, what is regression testing? Regression testing, it's a type of, first of all, black box testing. And in this type of testing, we make sure once after fixing the previous bug, no new bug is introduced. Okay, it consists of re-executing those tests that are impacted by the code changes to confirm that a recent program or code change has not adversely affected existing features. What is exploratory testing? Exploratory testing, it means testing of software without any specific plan and schedules. If we are testing IT-Learn 360 without any test plan, test cases, tested, we don't have anything. We are just we are just given this application. Now we are asked to test it. We'll go through each and everything. We will keep on exploring it. So this is known as exploratory testing. Here we don't have any test cases, test planning or document to test the application. Here we identify the functionality of the application by exploring the application. All right. Next question is, what is usability testing? Usability testing is a non-functional testing technique. It measures how easily the system can be used by end user. What is user acceptance testing? User acceptance testing, it's UAT, is the one where actual software users test the software to make sure it can handle required tasks in real world scenario. Okay, once your software is developed, you will hand it over to your some of the users. They will test it in the real world or in the real environment, and if it's working according to the expectation, then it's good. This is known as user acceptance testing, how it's working in hands of your user. Now, alpha testing. Let me tell you one thing first of all. User testing is divided into two parts. The first one is alpha testing and the another one is beta testing. Now it's divided like to whom you are giving your software application to test in real world. Based on that, these two divisions are given. So first of all, what is alpha testing? Alpha testing takes place at the developer side, where your product is being developed by some internal teams before releasing to external customers. Here, before finally making our product public, we will give our product to some of our team members who are not directly involved in its development. Okay, Some of our team members who are working on some other project, we'll hand it over to them and we'll give, hey, please try to run it and please go through this product, how it looks, is it usable or not, all these things. Okay. So here, product is tested at developer site. That is known as alpha testing. Now, what is beta testing? Beta testing is performed by some selected users and based on their feedback, final release is designed. We have heard a lot about beta testing versions of various softwares, various mobile applications, Android applications, and a lot more operating system applications also. Okay, so beta version is the one in which we give our product to some of the users, some selected users, some small amount, bunch of users. You are going to give your product to some bunch of users. They will use it in day-to-day life and they will give you the feedback. Based on the feedback, if the feedback is good, we can directly make our product public to everybody. If feedback needs some kind of improvement, if there is any improvement according to the feedback, then the product will be like updated again and then it will be deployed in the market. That is known as beta testing. It is also a part of user acceptance testing. What are different types of testing you will recommend for Gmail application? Okay, we all know very well what type of application Gmail is. There we can perform activities like we can compose a mail, we can send a mail, we can add attachment, we can check the font size, and what else we can do? We can separate our mails in spam folder, and we can save it in drafts if we are not sending it currently. So all these functionalities and feature we have to test. We can perform n number of types of testing here. See, there are various types of testing available in the market. So I'm listing some of the types of testing which can be very randomly and very easily used. So exploratory testing can be very easily done because here you need not to have any script or anything. You can just start testing the application according to your need or according to your mindset. Functional testing to check the functionalities like you are able to send a message without subject, it will send a message or not, or it will give you a warning or not. If you don't give any user, any recipient, then it will send mail on all these functionalities. If you are testing, that is not functional testing. GUI based testing, how much interactive your application is, what's the look and how it's looking. To send, you have a button, that button's color and everything. GUI, graphical user interface testing. Okay, about the look. Integration testing, you can check integration of different modules like sending mail. If you are not able to send mail, whether it's directly going to the draft folder or not, so you need to test integration also here. User acceptance testing, from a user's point of view, everything, the points and the labels like compose. Okay, compose, it's a word used to create a message, create a new message. Okay, so words should be easy that every user can easily understand. Okay, the symbols should be easily represented. That is known as user acceptance testing, and a number of testings can be performed on Gmail account, Gmail application. Now, what are various types of testing you will recommend for Amazon.com website? We all know Amazon.com website. It's very famous. It's used. It's an e-commerce website. Okay. On this website, we can search for our product. We can look back to our history, and we can check our card. We can go for gives, help, and we can check history departments and a lot more. Okay. We can check the latest deals and everything. So here you can perform white box testing. Okay, if you have the access to your code, you can go inside. See, your development team. Development team will definitely perform white box testing. They will write their code and they will just run it. That is white box testing. Okay. Other than development team, rest of the testers cannot perform it. Integration testing, you can check the integration of different modules, whether your history and the payment, they are in integration with each other or not. Then system testing, testing whole as a system. Okay, your drop down list, and if you pick anything, accounts, orders, your cards. Okay, you are going to create a list or a wish list. So you are testing it as a complete system. Smoke testing, first of all, in which you have to perform, you have to just test the basic and the important functionalities. Just like you should be able to search an item, Okay, that should be visible there, and you should be able to book it. That should go into your cart and you can purchase it. Okay, there should be an order system. So these are some very critical and the important functionalities, and if these functionalities are not implemented properly, then we can say your product is failed. All right, so that is smoke testing can be performed. Regression testing is if you have fixed any bug and you need to test again, you'll go for regression testing. Exploratory testing, keep on exploring the website. Functional testing and all type of non-functional testing, how much load this website can bear, after how much time it will break down and how it will recover, all these things. User acceptance testing, etc. types of testing can be performed. What is non-functional testing? So non-functional testing, here we test the non-functional requirements. So non-functional requirements are those which are not directly stated by a customer or by your client, but they are expected by your clients. Just like if you are developing any web application, that means for sure you will make such type of application which is 24/7 available, and which can bear at least a minimal amount of user request, and which is more secure, and all this type of thing. Okay, so when you expect something without directly mentioning it, that is known as non-functional requirement. And when we test non-functional requirement, this is known as non-functional testing. Here comes the availability, the security, and the recovery, and what comes the performance, in the sense you can say load bearing capacity and security. Everything related to the performance of your application will be counted here. It can be started after the completion of functional testing. Define manual and automation testing. Okay, so manual testing is the one where a human being is needed to perform testing. All right, and in automation testing, you will write the script and your machine will automatically run it and you will get the final output. Now, the difference between manual and automation testing is that in automation testing, we need to perform same kind of activity for n number of times, for 100 of times. Okay, but when we are performing automation, when we are performing the same activity 100 number of times and n number of times, then being a human being, your efficiency will get decreased. Okay, but when we are working on automation tool, if we have to perform same activity for n number of times, we'll get the same result, because the efficiency of the softwares or of the applications remains constant. It will not get decreased with time. Okay, at least it will not be that much distorted. So being a human being, we are not good in performing the same activity again and again. We cannot do repeated activity with the same efficiency, but a machine can do. All right, so there's a difference between automation and the manual testing. And automation testing tool that we all are hearing about nowadays is Selenium. Okay, Selenium, Cucumber, we all are hearing a lot about this. Now differentiate between white box and black box testing. In white box testing, a tester has full knowledge of the internal working of the application. Okay, a tester can look inside the code. That is white box testing. It's clear, it's transparent. In black box testing, you don't have any knowledge of how code is written or how it's working. You just know what input you have to give and you have to keep an eye on the output. That is black box testing. It's not clear. You cannot go see through it. Okay, it is also known as closed box testing. It can be performed by an end user, tester, or a developer. It is exhaustive and less time consuming. And white box testing, it's more time consuming because you have to go through each and everything. You have to go through the code. You have to make sure your code is optimized. That is, it will take less space and it's executable in less time. So all these are questions which can be directly asked from different types of software testing. So here today's topic is test cases and test plan. What kind of questions can be asked from this topic? So first question here is, what do you understand by a test case? Okay, if you are a manual tester or any kind of tester, you should know what a test case is and how it's written. Okay, so test case, it's a set of actions executed to verify or validate a particular functionality of the software application. It's a kind of document in which you write about all the actions which will be executed. in order to verify and validate the functionality or the working of the application. A tester will determine whether a system under test satisfies all requirements and they are working correctly. It is indivisible part of software testing. Without test cases, software testing is incomplete. So these test cases act as the starting point of the test execution. It includes what tests will be performed, what data will be passed, and how the output should look like. Every information of what you are going to do and what output you are expecting, what's the actual output, this will be stored in your test case report. Now the next question here is, what is test scenario? Test scenario is defined as any functionality, it defines simply any functionality that can be tested. Okay, it collects different test conditions. It's a collective set of test cases. All right, in simpler terms, you can say test scenario, it's a collection of test cases. Now here, test scenario number one, where we are checking the search functionality. Okay, in search functionality, we can check whether the spelling corrector is there or not, or previous search it's showing or not. So all these things you will take as an test case, and collectively we are testing search functionality, so it is our scenario search functionality. Similarly, we are testing login functionality. So our scenario is to check login functionality, in which we can include test cases like to check correct credentials, and that registered user should get, only registered user should get logged in. And for unregistered users, you need to check the correct username. It's taking numerical value at place of username. It's taking any value at place of password. So all these things you will be testing in your test cases. But the scenario here is we are testing the login functionality. That's the scenario. And the internal part is test cases. Now next question is, what is test data? Okay, so test data, it's simply some kind of data or some kind of link which you are passing to a test, okay, which you are passing to any feature, to any functionality, and in response you are getting some output. Okay, so to perform test case or to trace your test case, we need to give test data. I'll be showing you how our test case report is written and how test data is given there. Next question here is, describe few test cases which you have developed for your previous project. Okay, now if you have not worked on any other project, we can take an example of our travel portal. Okay, new to travel portal, which is an online flight reservation portal. Here you can see that's my test case report. All right, test case report, it's simply an Excel sheet. In simpler terms, it's a simple report in which right now the first scenario here is testing new tools homepage functionality, and that we have test case ID. Every test case is given some ID. Okay, and internally you can divide this overall test scenario into different scenarios. Okay, and for that you can write here test steps. Test step, that is go to this site. Test data, the URL you are passing. Okay, the expected result, the actual result. If the both are same, you can give the status, either pass or fail. The better example you can see here for login test scenario. Okay, now here test steps are, you need to go to site this, enter username, enter password, and click on sign in. It's a 4-step process. Now what username you need to give, that is username A and username password. This is your test data. All right, now according to that data you should get logged in, so it's your expected result. Now what's the actual result, that will be shown here in the column, and you will get the status according to it. So test data we need to change, like for incorrect credentials we can divide it into like incorrect username, then incorrect password. Incorrect username can be at place of username you are giving numerical value, you are giving some unregistered username or some special character, certain kind of things we can test. Okay. So all these things we need to test, we need to pass as a test data. Okay, so this is how a test report is generated, and we are taking example of new tools website, that's a travel portal. What are the guidelines for writing good test cases? Okay, just writing a test case is not enough. You need to write a sensible and the effective good test case. Okay, test cases need to be simple, They need to be transparent and easy to understand. You need to use a very simple language so that anybody can read it and understand what you're trying to say. Test cases should be valid, brief, and short. They should be traceable. You should not write any test case which your team members are not able to track. That should not be the case. Test case should be maintainable. Implement testing techniques like positive or negative test cases. It should be very clear in your report. Preparation of test data for diversity of test cases. Without test data, you cannot cover everything of every test case. Okay, you cannot cover all the corners of your any feature. So we need to give test data. Test data, we need to pass different type of parameters. We need to check all the combinations. Okay. Preparation of non-functional testing aspects also. Depending on the requirements, we need to find out what non-functional aspects we need to test here. Now, here the question is why test data is important. Okay. Now, test data makes the test cases traceable. Preparation of test data is needed for diversity of test cases. Let's take an example. We are testing login functionality. That's the easiest example we can take. Okay. There we have two fields, username and password. And the third one is click on sign in. Okay. So it's a 3-step process, but in the 2 steps, we need to pass some test data. If we are not able to write, if we will not write test data in our report, then how we will get to know on passing what input, what type of output we are getting? Okay, any user will come and will get logged in. This is not the case. We need to check only registered user should get logged in. So we need to check all the combinations there, registered user, unregistered user. And in category of unregistered user or incorrect credentials, you can divide it further like incorrect password, okay, correct username, incorrect password, or incorrect username and correct password, or incorrect username as well as incorrect password. So these type of combinations we have to create, and these combinations can only be created based on your test data if you are giving the test data. So for complete test report, for complete test execution, test data is the indivisible and the most important part in this activity. Now the next question here is, what's the objective of test plan document? Okay, so a test plan is a detailed document that outlines the test strategy, the testing objective, the resources, what resources, the human resource that you need, how many teammates or how many people you need to work on any particular project, what software requirements you have, what hardware requirements, what dependencies, risk and everything required for testing, test schedules, test estimation, and test deliverable. A test plan, it's an overall document which contains everything related to your testing process, what strategy, which approach you are going to use, okay, and which tool you will be working on, why you'll be working on that tool, which is the most feasible thing, most feasible technology, how many members you need, and all of these things are written in your test plan. Okay, a test plan serves as a blueprint to conduct software testing activities as defined process, which is minutely monitored and controlled by the test manager. This question is generally asked, who control your test plan? So you can directly give answer, test manager is there who will control your test plan, or it's created by a test manager. Next question here is, explain various sections of a test plan document. What it will contain. So components are like test plan ID will be there. Okay, we can have various test plan, and when new requirements are coming or when we are developing a newer version, so test plan ID will keep on changing. So test plan ID is a very first thing and it's important. Features to be tested, what features you are considering that needs to be tested. Now testing techniques, testing task, features pass or fail criteria, on which criteria you will call it pass or fail. Okay, test deliverables, responsibilities, schedules, and etc. Okay, all these are the components of your test plan. What do you understand by testing environment? Okay, so specify testing environment, specify the property of test environment in the sense what hardware, what software, what network, etc. is needed by you to perform the listed testing activity. Okay, it's a list, it prepares a list of any testing or related tools. Testing environment. Okay, test environment components like hardware, software, network, etc. should be listed, basically the whole configuration mechanism along with related testing tools. All right. In environment setup, simply you can say after planning and after designing, you know what type of testing you want to perform, how many team members you have. Based on that, you will decide which tool is the most feasible, and you need to set up an environment so that you can execute your test cases on that. Why test plan is important? It's important because it helps us determine the effort needed to validate the quality of the application under test. Okay, test plan guides our thinking. It keeps us on the right track. If you have the test plan, you know what are your objective, what's your strategy, and what you have to follow. Now, they usually ask to describe test plan process, complete process in detail. Okay, so process, it starts with first step here. You need to analyze the product first of all. Okay, product or the product requirement document. Then after that, step number 2 is design a design test strategy. Based on the type of product, you need to design a strategy. Okay, your strategy depends on the type of product, and product to product it varies. Third here is define test objective. What is your main goal here? Now, define test criteria. Okay, what will be the test criteria? What type of testing you're going to perform? Resource planning, how many people will be needed? Plan test environment based on your requirements, based on your tools. You will set up a environment. Schedule and estimation, how many test cases will be executed in first iteration, and which are at high priority. So what test cases will come in your smoke testing. So all these things are covered in step number 7. And at last, determine test deliverables. When everything is done, you will determine the test report, and it will be forwarded, and you can deliver the product. So that's a complete test plan process. Okay, so that's all about the questions. These are the general questions which are asked from this section: test plan and test case. And I don't think we missed any question that can be asked. Okay, so these are more general questions which can be asked. Hello everyone, welcome back to our interview questions from manual testing. Okay, so our next topic here is task estimation. So what is task estimation? It's the management of activities that you have, okay, that calculates a rough estimation of how long a task or work or test will take in completing. In short, here you can say you have the list of test cases which needs to be performed. So here you are calculating the overall time it will take, how much efforts it will take. Okay, that is known as task estimation. It will estimate the resources needed, it will estimate the time needed, the human skills needed, and the domain knowledge needed, and the total cost that will come out of the complete process. Okay, so all these things are captured in task estimation process. Now the next question here is why task estimation is required, why it's important. It's needed to test the complexity of your application. If your application is very complex, then the time it will take will be very high, and the cost can be high also, and it will take a large number of people. That is, resource requirement will be high. Okay, proper availability of requirements. Do you have suitable number of human resources, suitable number of suitable tools? Okay, previous testing experience. We always in testing we always keep on learning, and we learn from our previous experiences. Okay, so it captures what we learned from our previous experience. Specific and domain software knowledge. Okay, to find out what kind of knowledge is needed to check for the performance of your project and its environment, to estimate the risk that may occur in an application, and the tools needed for testing. Okay, so task estimation is important. Without estimating, you cannot actually start testing any application. You need to first of all figure out where's the risk. Okay, using which tool will be more feasible, so that you need less time, less resources. Okay, so all these things are calculated here in task estimation. All right, now here only these two questions are asked from task estimation. It's not that important topic, but yes, it's an indivisible part of software testing. Okay, so task estimation, you can say simply, it's a part of software testing where you need to estimate, you need to find out the estimate of how many resources are needed, which tool, technology, what will be the, how complex your application is, how much time it will take. All these things are captured here. Hello everyone, welcome back to our manual testing interview question and answers. So Here our topic is traceability matrix. What questions can be asked from this topic? First of all, they will ask what you understand by the term requirement traceability matrix. Okay, so requirement traceability matrix, it's a kind of matrix that captures all the requirements stated by the client and their traceability in a single document. Okay, in short, in simpler terms, you can say it is a document that maps and traces the user requirement and return test cases. Now I'll show you one example. It's a requirement traceability matrix for new to travel portal. Okay, that's the requirement ID requirement which is stated by our client. Okay, requirement ID R01. It says, as a customer, I want a flight reservation or flight booking portal to book flight from home. Okay, so this is the requirement. For this requirement, we have developed one test case, and whose test case ID is TC00. Test case ID can be given by organization, and here test case name check travel portal website is available. Okay, and the status here. Now customer's next requirement says, as a customer, I want a login form should be given at home page. So here this is the test case ID and our test case name, in simple name, and its status. All right, so this type of mapping of your client requirements and your test cases is known as requirement traceability matrix. It helps you out in finding that all requirements are tested or not. It's a direct table, it's a direct document in which you can directly look at the mapping. Okay, and if anything is left behind, you can figure it out here. Now, what are the various parameters included while creating our requirement traceability matrix? So parameters are, you need a requirement ID, the requirement description, test case ID, and the test case name and the status, like we see in here. What are the advantages of this RTM? So it provides you, it gives you final confirmation that 100% test coverage is done. Okay, it highlights if any requirement is missing. It identifies document inconsistency. If later on any requirement is updated, new requirement is added. Okay, so you can directly see, okay, for this requirement no test case is written, so it will provide you a document consistency there. It gives a clear mapping of all requirements and test cases. Okay, so the biggest advantage of using requirement requirement traceability matrix is that here you can see a clear picture on one go. You can identify if there is any ambiguity, if there is any missing requirement, or for which test cases are not written. If there is any inconsistency, you can directly figure it out. Okay, that's all about requirement traceability matrix. And here our next topic is requirements. Okay, so the very first question that can be asked is, how do you collect requirements? So requirements can be collected in a number of ways. You can have a face-to-face meeting with your client, okay, with your stakeholders. You can collect information from various workshops. You can analyze the previous workshops, or you can create new workshop, and based on that you can check your customers' feedback. And on a phone call, you can interact with your stakeholders. You can directly ask their demands and the requirements. And you need to analyze the focused group. Okay, there's a particular group, you can say a group of people which will be affected by your product. Let's say we are developing a e-learning website, that's a web application for students. Okay, so e-learning website will more focus on students, colleges, and learning related stuff. Okay, and on some companies which if they are looking to train their employees. Okay, so you know now on which part of the crowd you're focusing on. We need to analyze that crowd, and we need to see their requirements by focusing on our needed group. By collaborating online, you need to collaborate online. You need to keep on posting your things. You need to keep on analyzing what's there in the market, what's trending. So this is how we can directly collect the requirement. Now, what do you mean by a good requirement? Okay, so your requirement should not be ambiguous. It should be crystal clear what it's trying to say. Okay, requirements, let me tell you one thing very clearly. The requirements are not directly given by customer. Customer will tell you about what he wants. Okay, now from that what he wants, being a business analyst or being a representative of your organization, you need to find out the requirements. You need to write it down in your requirement document. Okay, so requirements need to be unambiguous. They should be testable. Okay, things should be testable, clear. concise, simple, precise. Okay, it should be correct, it should be understandable, it should be feasible, it should be independent and necessary. All right. Now, next question, who develop requirements? Requirements are generally collected by business analyst. Business analyst is the one who will interact with your clients, with your stakeholders, and he will listen to what they actually want. And based on that, he will figure out what are the things that we need to work on. Later on, these requirements can be more cleared, or they can be more like other team members can work more on the requirements, like your senior developers, your QA manager. Okay, they will refine these requirements and they can find out the hidden internal content which is needed. What is the use case? Can we generate many test cases from one use case? A use case is a list of actions or even steps typically defining the interaction between a role and a system to achieve a goal. In simple terms, use case, it's simply a UML diagram. Okay, it's a diagram in which all the actors are the people which are involved in your product, which are directly or indirectly involved in any particular product or any particular application, and how they are, or how they will be interacting with the developed application. That is shown in use case diagram. Okay, now we can generate many test cases from a use case diagram. One use case diagram will show you complete working of how your application will work. Okay, I can show you how use case diagram looks like. So yeah, hold on, it's there, travel portal use case. I need to select this one. It can be shown in the tabular format, or it can be shown in the diagrammatic way. Here you can see the actors and the description, what kind of role they will perform. Okay, actor is anyone who wants to register new tools, any customer. Okay, and system is here another actor, how they are interacting with the system. So your actor will go to the new tools page, the system will display the new tools home page, your actor will click on register link, your system will display registration form, and like this it will keep on going. Next question is, what is user story? User stories are system requirements from the perspective of an end user. User stories are the needs of your customer, needs of your client. Your client will say what he wants. Okay, so you can see here user story. Example of user story is, what is a user story? User stories are short, simple description of a feature told from the perspective of a person. We can also see the user story document. Let me search, just a minute. User story, okay. Here we go. So travel portal user stories. According to this, as a customer, want a flight reservation portal for booking flights from home. Okay. Now, next one is, as a customer, I want a login page. As a customer, I want all special offers details to be displayed at homepage. So these are your user stories, the user requirements, what your user wants. The next question is, what is BRS? BRS stands for Business Requirement Specification. It's a document which contains information or which contains requirements from business perspective. It does not include any use case information. It is developed by a business analyst and it contains all the requirements and customers' wishes. Okay, you can see business requirement document here, travel portal BRS. Here it is, you can go through it. So it's a document prepared from business perspective. Now, next is, what is FRS? FRS stands for Functional Requirement Specification. It's a document that contains requirements given by the client. It also does not include any use case, but it is developed by developers and engineer. They will go through the business requirement document and they will give a final touch to the requirements, and they will find out the hidden information from it. It contains the sequence of operations to be followed. You can also find FRS here, okay, and you can go through it, how it looks like. functional requirement specification. It contains crystal clear functionalities, crystal clear requirements. This is how it should look and feel, GUI and everything is given. Now the next question is, what is SRS? It stands for Software Requirement Specification. It's a document which contains requirements given by the company. Okay, what are your internal requirements? It always includes a use case. It contains the business functionalities of the application and the functional and non-functional requirement. So these are the some general questions which are asked from this section. So our next topic is defect management. What questions can be asked, like, what do you understand by defect in a software product? Okay, so defect is an error found after the application goes into production. It's the deviation from the customer's requirement, or it's the deviation from what you were expecting. The difference between the expected and the actual output is known as a defect or a bug. Now, define defect life cycle. So whenever you catch a defect, you call it a new defect. Okay, so first stage or the first level of defect life cycle is new bug is introduced. Now the next one is, once it is discovered, you need to assign it to any of our team member, any development team member. So it is assigned to any developer, and the developer will open the defect, okay, and identify what kind of bug it is. Is it a duplicate bug? Is it rejected? If it's not affecting your system, it can be deferred, or you can call it it's not a bug. After that, a bug is fixed. Okay, after fixing the bug, it goes to pending retest. Okay, it is again given to the testing team, where they will retest and they will identify if it is fixed or not. If it's not fixed, it will be reopened again and it will be assigned to the development team, and it will keep on going until the defect is fixed. Okay, once it is fixed, it will go to verified state and it will be closed. So that's your defect life cycle. Now the next question is, why do software defects occur? So software defects occur because of communication, lack of communication, ambiguity in requirements, programming errors, and improper communication between team members. See, whenever you are developing any application or whenever you are testing it, it's very important to have good understanding between the team members so that it can be tested easily, it can be developed properly. You need to you need to use proper logics there. Communication plays a very important part. You need to understand what customer wants and what you are developing and how it's working. So all these things play a very important role to reduce defects in your system. Now it says, list few important defects which you find in your previous project. Okay, so take example of any project. Just for now, we can take example of our IT Learn 360, on which we have a search bar. Now there was a bug like search bar will never show an error message. Even if the content is not available, it will show you something else. It will not say, okay, this is not available. So that can be one bug, and various other. You can explore it more and you can find out. You better know your project. Now the next question is, what do you understand by a defect report or a bug report? Okay, so defect report or a bug report is a kind of reports, or in simple terms, it's an Excel sheet, or it's kind of sheet on which you report your bug. Whenever you catch a bug, you need to fill its entry, its details here. It's like you have to give a defect ID and keep track of how many defects are discovered and how it's going on, the defect description, the expected result, the actual result, the steps to reproduce, the priority reported by, and the assigned to. Such type of things are added in your defect report. And right now we are testing IT Learn 360, so it's a defect report. And here there is a show notification. So expected result is home page should be shown, okay, but the actual result is home page opens with show. And how to produce it, just go to this website and the priority is low and it is reported by this particular person. Okay, so this is how defects are reported. Screenshots are attached for actual result, and expected, it's written here. All right, so that is defect report, which is circulated in your team so that everybody knows what defects are introduced. Now, what action need to be taken once a defect is detected? Okay, just after you catch a defect, you need to report the problem as early as possible. You need to double cross check bug before reporting the bug. Okay, you need to be sure Like, is it coming, is it not, because of internet connectivity? Okay, now what can be the reason? You have to figure out by yourself first of all, then you can report this problem as soon as possible to your team members. Okay, and you need to write a good bug summary, good bug description, so that any of the team member can just read it and understand. The language should be simple, clear and easy. Check if the same bug is occurring in some other related modules. You have to check whether this bug is also present in other modules also. So these are some actions which you should keep in mind whenever you detect a bug. Now, when you appear in an interview, they can ask some questions from testing methodologies, different methodologies, when they are used or how they are used. So let's see what kind of questions they can ask. The first question is, which testing methodology did you use in your last project? Okay. Uh, if I take mine example, we worked on last project, that is ITLAN 360, and we used Agile methodology. Okay, and in Agile, what we do is we keep some requirements in the backlog. We keep all of our requirements in the backlog list, and we pick some to our current sprint, okay, running sprint, and then we start working on those, and we deploy it in the market. So that is how Agile works, and that is how ITLAN 360 is developed. Now the next question is, explain how did you use Agile in your projects? So as I told you, to use Agile in our project, we had all the requirements, a complete requirement set. We capped it into backlog. Okay, then we started sprints. We already decided in which sprint which activity will be performed. Okay, so higher priority functionalities we kept in sprint 1, and later on some other functionalities are kept in sprint 2. We started running sprint 1. That took 4 weeks, and in 4 weeks we provided the basic functionalities like site was up, homepage was available. In next sprint, which was already planned, the login feature was implemented, and the courses were kept on uploading. In the next sprint, third sprint, we again added courses, and then we added registration form. In fifth sprint, we added the pop-ups and all, and it keep on going like this. Next question is, which one do you like, Waterfall or Agile? Why? First of all, you should know how Waterfall model works and how Agile works. First of all, then only you can choose anyone. So first of all, we'll see Waterfall model. It's the traditional model, and our software model started from here. First model you can say that was discovered is Waterfall model, in which we have phases. We have software development phases. All phases are same. That is requirement gathering, planning and designing, your coding, testing, and deployment. But here in Waterfall model, there is one basic feature of this model is that you can go from one level to another level only once your previous level is completed. Okay, let's take an example. We are working on requirement gathering. We cannot start planning and designing until this requirement gathering is 100% done. If it's 100% done, then only we can go to planning and designing. Now, once we are here in the next step in planning and designing, we can never ever go back to the requirement phase again to make any changes. Okay, that's the difficulty here. You cannot backtrack to the previous stage. You can just keep on moving forward. Okay, so you have to be very sure that your previous level is completed and no more correction is needed. It will never allow you backtracking. So that is disadvantage here with Waterfall model. It's not that much flexible. It's very rigid. You cannot backtrack, and once you are done with this phase, you just have to keep on moving forward. Okay, it's just like a flowing water. The same water will not come again. So that's why Waterfall model is rigid, and I always prefer Agile model. It's the best model, best software development model that you can use. Very flexible, very comfortable. In Agile model, you can see it's a software development methodology which is inspired by iterative and incremental model, which means you are continuously adding the things and you are continuously improving the things with time. Okay, so in Agile model, here you will see you have a product backlog. Okay, this is a backlog where you keep all of your requirements that you will be working on. All requirements will be kept in the product backlog. Now you will select some of the requirements, some of the high priority requirements into the sprint. Okay, then you will run the sprint, which will you will review every day and you will work on it. Okay, now once the sprint is done, you can deploy the content in the market. Now your customer, your clients can look at that and they can give you the suggestions, and accordingly, based on the suggestions, you can add things in your product backlog, and you can again start a sprint and keep on running. So it's a continuous process where you are developing and deploying and again developing and deploying, and you are getting continuous review. It's very fast as well as it's very effective also. So we always I'll always suggest to use agile model over waterfall. Waterfall is very rigid and very outdated. Next question is, what is a sprint? Okay, so we talked about sprint is important thing in agile model. So it's a set of time period. It's a set of period of time during which specific work has to be completed and made ready for review. Okay, so it's some time which you choose. Let's say 4 weeks of time. In this 4 weeks, I'll complete 8 requirements. And after 4 weeks, these requirements will be completed and the first iteration product will be given in the market. Okay, will be given to the client. So that is sprint. It's just a duration in which you are completing some of the functionalities or some of the requirements. Now the duration of a sprint, it is determined by a scrum master. Okay, just like a project owner, or there is a scrum master. Now what does scrum master do? Next question is, so scrum master is often considered a coach for the team, helping the team to do the work, do the best work it possibly can. Okay, the scrum master can also be thought of as a process owner for them. Okay, creating a balance with the project's key stakeholder, who is referred to as product owner. So it's like Scrum Master is one who guides the team throughout agile process. Okay, and he will plan these sprints, and he will maintain communication between the product owner and the project manager and the complete team. Okay, so that is a Scrum Master. Now all